And take a look at this. You may have seen this shocking video out of New York. A bus driver possibly saving this student's life. She grabs onto the boy's shirt, stopping him from getting off the bus right as a car just speeds by.
Well, Mark Haribe, the law is clear. If the flashing stop sign on a school bus is sticking out, cars have to stop. But it turns out drivers ignore them every single day. It's after school in Maricopa. Students are getting dropped off by the bus. The bus's stop sign flashes, warning drivers to wait. But some don't. A close call as a driver speeding down the street barely comes to a stop while a student crosses right in front of them. Then, instead of waiting, continues on. A dangerous move that's against the law. It happens again in Phoenix. And again just days later, while this bus driver assists a student in a wheelchair. A car barrels by.
You get somebody at least 2-3 times a day that run these stop arms.
Sergio Polito, the director of transportation for the Maricopa Unified School District, says his bus drivers are fed up with the illegal passers.
They don't see any students and they say, okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and go before they come out. But we have students that get off the bus, not necessarily just walk this way, but they cross the front of the bus. Some of them take their time, some of them just bolt out to traffic.
Residents in developments in the outer suburbs of Sydney have been stung millions in parking fines just to avoid blocking narrow roads.
Sometimes you have to park a little bit on the nature strip.
The narrow back streets in this development at Horningsea Park, such a tight squeeze, residents have the choice. Park on the curb and face a fine, or block traffic.
People do get frustrated, road raging and all that.
You barely can get through. It's hard enough for a normal car, let alone a garbage truck or an ambulance vehicle.
Now Liverpool Council will stop booking drivers who half park on curved curbs.
What's the issue here?
So previously this was not allowed, and all you're trying to do is make it safer, and you'd get fined for it, and that would drive people absolutely crazy.
And it was a big penalty, $302. In the past 12 years, it's netted the council more than $2.4 million in revenue.
Will council be refunding drivers who have been fined for this reason?
We look towards the future. No one will be refunded, but the good thing is you won't be fined anymore going forward.
Also an issue in growing developments in northwest Sydney, including here in Rouse Hill. Blacktown Council says it issues warnings, then fines repeat offenders.
It's a headache all too familiar to the residents of Balmain. Inner West rangers are encouraged to use discretion. The difference here being these streets were built more than 100 years ago.
But urban planning experts also see it as necessary for a future of green, walkable suburbs.
You shouldn't be trying to steal my house. Yes, you are.
This morning, a squatter standoff caught on camera by our station WABC.
There's a man sleeping right there. Get out of my house.
Adele Andaloro says she inherited this New York City house, but a group of people moved in and changed the locks.
Who are these people? The situation. Yeah, but they're in my house, man.
The NYPD called in, arresting one man.
Why is it that I have to leave and he doesn't have to leave?
Because technically he can't be kicked out. We need to go to court.
But this man, forcing his way back inside, was allowed to stay.
That's not going on.
He told investigative reporter Dan Krauth he signed a lease in October, though he showed no proof.
So how does this all end then? When do you leave?
The way it ends is either she pays me my money that I put into the house, pay me the money, and I'll leave, or send me to court, and we deal with the judge in court.
In New York City, squatters have tenants' rights after 30 days, making this a landlord-tenant dispute. So when Adele had the locks changed again...
You're getting arrested right now?
I'm being arrested.
For what?
For being in my own home.
Police then took her away in handcuffs for unlawful eviction. When it comes to squatters, homeowners across the country have to navigate a slew of laws which vary by state. In Chicago,
her 8-year-old son dead in his bedroom. Gabriel had hanged himself from his bunk bed.
He probably didn't want to say, "Mom, somebody bullying or picking on me, you know." He just didn't know how to tell me.
Reynolds spoke with our Cincinnati affiliate WLWT days after Gabriel's death and says she was never told her third grader was being bullied. But tonight, this video has been released showing an alleged assault in a school bathroom where Gabriel is knocked unconscious 2 days before he ended his life.
The school district never told Mom that there was a video. They never told Mom that he had been assaulted.
Family attorneys were given the video after they began asking questions. The school district denies any wrongdoing, saying in part, though the connection between this incident at school and Gabriel's suicide are not clear, the district shared this video with police investigators at the time of the incident. Their investigation has concluded and no charges were filed. They say a school nurse checked Gabriel's vitals at the time, which were normal, and called his mom. She says she was only told her son had fainted.
They busted my baby's lip, they busted his nose, and Gaby, I'm sorry.
This new video is prompting the coroner to reopen the death investigation as Gabriel's mother wonders what could have been done if she had only known.
A viral video on TikTok shows a Severna Park High School student bullying a classmate who has special needs. The student can be heard saying a racial slur, phrases demeaning to a person with special needs,
don't ever speak back to me.
and even launching a physical threat at him.
Yo, I'm actually going to put this kid in an electric chair.
Parents learned about the incident on Tuesday in a letter from the school. Then the viral video drew more than 800,000 views on TikTok.
It is a disturbing thing to watch, and certainly has evoked a visceral reaction on social media yesterday, but also at the school on Tuesday.
The high school is focusing on ways to combat bullying. Across the country, schools are seeing a rise in bullying, according to the Cyberbullying Research Center.
You have to continue the conversations, right? And as you're moving forward in a journey, sometimes there are steps back. And the goal is to keep moving forward and not let a single incident define your overall program. And certainly this is very disturbing. There's no brushing this under the rug. There's no not dealing with this. The appropriate consequences have been levied, and that will continue to happen as this process continues.
Once students learned about the video, they were outraged. The school district says they marched down to the principal's office.
But it is certainly reassuring that many students went to the office and said, hey, look, this happened. You have to know about this. And it happened very quickly, almost immediately. And so from that standpoint, the message of see something, say something, and the message of let's do something about something that's just not okay is clearly there.
The school has identified the student and has taken appropriate action. According to Anne Arundel County Schools Handbook, bullying results in a suspension.
The death of a Sparta toddler is getting a closer look from local health officials tonight. The 2-year-old died as the result of a bacterial infection. 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey spoke with health officials about what, if any, risk that it may pose to the public.
Kent County health officials say the child died as a result of a rare bacterial infection.
Not meningitis. Not meningitis. At this point, we're not thinking that this was a meningitis case.
Rather, a bacteria-caused blood infection, one that under normal circumstances would cause a more typical childhood illness.
It's like ear infections or pneumonia, but in terms of it to reach this point of a severe blood infection, that is very rare.
And while it's contagious, health officials have determined just people with direct contact with the toddler, his family, were the only people at risk.
We have taken precautionary measures with the family itself, the immediate family members, but in terms of a larger range of people at risk for infection, this type of bacteria does not necessitate that type of a response.
Most childhood vaccinations protect against the more serious strains. Health officials are reviewing the child's immunization records, but those shots are no guarantee.
The vaccinations only cover a certain number of strains of bacteria, and obviously bacteria are always changing, and there's a number of different strains, and so some of the vaccines don't cover every single strain.
State health officials are investigating a case that may be linked to a rare bacteria. We learned one person died, but the Department of Health says the cause of death has not been confirmed yet. Sarah Madison digs deeper to find out how you can protect your family.
Joe, the Department of Health tells me the victim was initially hospitalized because of an infection from a bacteria called Vibrio. The state disease expert says vibriosis is not common in Hawaii, but there have been cases and even fatalities in the past. You can get vibriosis by eating raw, undercooked seafood from contaminated coastal waters or exposing an open wound to warm seawater.
2/3 of those cases tend to be caused by wound infections or related to wound infections.
Symptoms usually start a day to 2 days after exposure to the bacteria. Signs are diarrhea, abdominal cramps, nausea, vomiting, and fever. A wound infected by Vibrio may appear red, swollen, and painful.
If you have, like I mentioned, liver disease, or you have other kinds of underlying illness that makes your immune system not quite so robust, even just mildly so, you're at risk, high risk for more severe infection. The current understanding is that that carries about a 50% mortality risk for those kinds of persons. For healthy persons, we generally recover.
To protect you and your family from Vibrio, health officials recommend to cook seafood at a high temperature for at least 15 minutes. Refrigerate raw seafood as soon as possible and avoid warm seawater if you have a cut.
There should be no bullying allowed, no violence. Everybody is human beings.
The bullying incident that has been circulating the internet, allegedly involving 2 high school students tormenting a middle schooler, has led to a heartwarming community moment this morning as police officers and the community surprised the boy at home to escort him back to school.
It makes me excited and happy.
Sweet reaction from him there. In the viral video, investigators say 2 teens were seen hitting Carter and forcing him to lick the bottom of a shoe. Police arresting the 14-year-old and 15-year-old suspects, but the family saying the incident continues to affect 12-year-old Carter LaShaw even after the arrests. In an effort to take a stand against bullying, you see community members here coming together today, walking side by side to take him to school.
We reached out to him the first night. We showed up, just to give him comfort. I mean, showing the support and showing that we're there for him is the most important thing.
Now 17's Michaela Armstrong has been following this story since the beginning.
There should be no bullying allowed, no violence. Everybody is human beings. We all make mistakes. We all are flesh and blood. There should be no reason for someone to belittle a person when we're all humans at the end of the day. Simple.
You're supposed to protect us, but you're threatening to kill me over a traffic incident?
Sorry.
I hope he never holds a gun again.
George Dickerson says he's still shaken. He was in a work truck on Loop 610 when he says a deputy pulled out a gun and threatened to kill him. He's thankful his co-worker pressed record.
It's hard to think that a man trained with a gun threatened to kill me.
2 years later, it almost brings George Dickerson to tears.
I just hope that something like this never happens to anybody else.
This is the video cited in the civil rights lawsuit filed in federal court and shared with KGU11 by Dickerson. The suit claims former Harris County Sheriff's Deputy Eric Sanchez pulled out a gun during a traffic stop on February 22nd, 2021 and threatened to kill Dickerson.
Throw your car at me again, I'll kill you. I didn't. Yes, you did.
What you don't see on the video, Dickerson says there was a funeral procession on Loop 610.
The officer that's in front leading dead stops, and this is the second to middle lane on 610.
Dickerson says when the deputy in front of him hit his brakes, he did too. That's what he believes angered Sanchez, who was behind him.
He said, "I will effing kill you," multiple times. "I will effing kill you," and he had his gun drawn.
In the lawsuit filed by attorney Amir Thomasby, Dickerson is suing Harris County, the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and former Deputy Sanchez. Dickerson told us he's been in therapy and is still haunted by the interaction.
Maria Castillo wears a mask in tribute to her 6-year-old son, Josiah McIntyre.
I try and do my best to keep it together as best I can.
Josiah died earlier this month from a waterborne amoeba, a deadly brain-eating microbe that somehow got into the Lake Jackson, Texas water supply.
It had originally started on Thursday with a headache, and Friday it progressed to vomiting and fever.
By Sunday, he was in the ER with swelling on the brain. The amoeba is exceedingly rare. There have only been 34 cases over the last 10 years, only after a spinal tap were doctors able to discover the problem.
And it took until Monday to find out the cause. And when you hear rare amoeba,
They're is actually no specific treatment for the amoeba. With the rarity of it,
city officials narrow the source of the amoeba to either a water play area at a city splash pad or an outdoor hose at the family's home.
A little boy has passed away, and that it could possibly have gotten in our system, and we just have no idea. And we want to make sure everybody is safe.
Maria Castillo wears a mask in tribute to her 6-year-old son, Josiah McIntyre.
I try and do my best to keep it together as best I can.
Josiah died earlier this month from a waterborne amoeba, a deadly brain-eating microbe that somehow got into the Lake Jackson, Texas water supply.
It had originally started on Thursday with a headache, and Friday it progressed to vomiting and fever.
By Sunday, he was in the ER with swelling on the brain. The amoeba is exceedingly rare. There have only been 34 cases over the last 10 years. Only after a spinal tap were doctors able to discover the problem.
And it took until Monday to find out the cause. And when you hear rare amoeba,
There is actually no specific treatment for the amoeba. With the rarity of it,
city officials narrow the source of the amoeba to either a water play area at a city splash pad or an outdoor hose at the family's home.
A little boy has passed away, and that it could possibly have gotten in our system, and we just have no idea. And we want to make sure everybody is safe.
I'm rating every death row final meal request to find out which one's the greatest of all time. Today we're getting started with Ricky Ray Rector. In 1981, Rector was charged with the murders of Arthur Criswell and police officer Robert Martin. As a result, he was sentenced to death by lethal injection. For Rector's final meal, he requested steak, fried chicken, pecan pie, and cherry Kool-Aid. However, Rector chose not to eat the pecan pie, claiming to the guards that he was saving it for later. The pie was left on his tray and not disposed of until the execution had been completed. In my opinion, the meal was loaded up with some classics, but I would have liked to see some sides and maybe a better choice in drink. I'm placing this meal in C tier.
The best part about October is all the Halloween movies, and Cinemark is going to be releasing some absolute classics back to theaters. Let me tell you what days they'll be coming. Starting October 1st, you can watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacres back in Cinemark's theaters for its 50th anniversary. On October 10th, Cinemark will have a double feature of Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3. This is over 4 hours of Art the Clown in your life. Only the toughest horror movie fans are going to survive that. And if you're one of the people that thinks they can't survive that, on October 11th, they will release Terrifier 3. But so that there's something for the kids to enjoy too, The Nightmare Before Christmas will be coming out October 11th. Smile 2 will be releasing in theaters October 18th, as well as Hocus Pocus on October 18th. On October 20th, we get the re-release of Saw celebrating its 20th anniversary. I can't believe it's been 20 years since that movie came out. On October 29th will be the re-release of It. Cinemark will even be selling Pennywise popcorn buckets in their lobby, so look out for that when you go see it. On October 30th will be the re-release of Bride of Chucky, probably one of my favorite Chucky movies. And Cinemark will also have a Chucky popcorn bucket head you can look out for when you go see it. Ending things October 31st with the king of all Halloween movies, Halloween from 1979. This is a movie you have to see on the big screen at least once in your life. Cinemark is giving you that chance.
Hassan Nasrallah, we are hearing that he could have been eliminated today in an attack that unfolded while Benjamin Netanyahu was speaking at the UN, that they had hit the headquarters in Beirut, and it is believed that they have eliminated Hassan Nasrallah. Now, it has not been confirmed, but we're hearing the attack that took place while Benjamin Netanyahu was speaking at the UN was massive, and there are rumors that Hassan Nasrallah's daughter was hit. There is rumors circulating around there. Now, again, this has not yet been confirmed, but if so, this is huge. It would literally mean that Hezbollah has been completely eradicated, removed from Lebanon, and eliminated. Israel has successfully done this, and the United States has been begging for peace, a ceasefire, and we're hearing that they are just shocked because they have been pushing for there to be some sort of diplomatic solution. We heard it had gone beyond the point of return, and that the United States was just hoping that maybe Israel would hit Hezbollah so hard that they would come to some sort of an agreement. But now we're hearing there could be full and complete elimination of Hezbollah now. This is huge breaking news coming out, and it unfolded while Benjamin Netanyahu was speaking at the UN. We're hearing that moments before he went on to speak before the UN, they had approved the attack and the hit to get them while he was speaking. Now I'm going to be sharing with you the video footage coming out from Fox News so that way you can see it for yourself.
Do you remember this moment from Whistling Diesel's Cybertruck video? Well, it turns out it's way worse than we thought. It's not just some one-off freak incident. It's actually a fatal design flaw of this Cybertruck. It's probably all the proof we'll ever need to know that the Cybertruck will never be as tough as a real pickup. This summer, when Cody finally got his hands on a Cybertruck, he put it through its paces in his typical durability test. Undoubtedly, one of the truck's darkest moments is when the frame snapped and the bumper snapped off. Luckily, someone actually decided to read the Cybertruck owner's manual. What they found was that this fatal flaw was spelled out right in front of us the entire time. See, Tesla claims that the Cybertruck can tow up to 11,000 pounds. However, the Cybertruck's tow hitch is only rated to support up to 160 pounds of vertical force, which is somehow the exact same as the much less tough Model Y. For reference, a normal pickup truck, such as an F-150, can support up to 500 pounds. The reason for this is the Cybertruck is built on a very feeble aluminum frame, compared to a real truck which is built on a steel frame. So in this moment in the video right here, when the tow hitch hit this stone pillar, the weak aluminum frame snapped right in half. This may not seem like a big deal in real life, but every single time you go over a bump while you're towing something heavy, it's putting pressure on that tow hitch. Every single bump puts your aluminum frame at risk, and that is no way to live.
The crash happened just before 7:30 Monday night, right where Hatton Highway makes a sharp 90-degree turn. PBSO tells us the 2023 Ford Explorer was going west when they say the SUV's driver failed to negotiate the left turn, crashed through the guardrail, and turned over in the canal. There were 10 people in the car.
Out of those 10 patients, 4 people were pronounced dead on the scene. We did have 6 people get transported to a local trauma center.
PBSO says 5 of those died at the hospital. 6 of the dead were children, ranging in age from 23 months to 14 years old. 3 adults were killed, including the 56-year-old woman driving. Eric Dumba is a PhD of urban planning at FAU and an expert on area highways.
What happens, especially in the evening, is drivers are traveling along a road that communicates that they can travel at higher speeds, and then they become surprised when the road abruptly shifts.
And he says those sharp turns are the #1 places for crashes on 2-lane rural roads, just like here on Hatton Highway. In western Palm Beach County, Matt Cesny, WPTV News.
This is huge. Billie Eilish, the 22-year-old 9-time Grammy-winning artist, just came out and endorsed Kamala Harris to her 119 million Instagram followers in a post that reads, quote, "It's National Voter Registration Day. We are voting for Harris Walls. The choice is clear. Check your voting status here," to which she provided a link to register people to vote to all 119 million of her followers. What an endorsement for Kamala Harris to receive. Both Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift, the 2 most successful and accomplished musicians in the country, are now supporting her candidacy. I think this goes to show how Kamala Harris represents a new generation. She's fun to root for. She's bringing optimism, joy, and hope back into politics. Unlike Donald Trump, who campaigns on fear, anger, and division, which is why, along with many other reasons, Billie Eilish endorsed Kamala Harris, not Trump.
Do you even realize how many Cybertrucks Tesla has sold so far? I bet it's not what you think. With all the negative discourse online surrounding Tesla's wedge-shaped pickup, you might think that it reflects poorly in sales, right? Well, you thought wrong. Extremely wrong. The Tesla Cybertruck is currently outselling every single other electric pickup truck combined. I'll go ahead and repeat that. The Tesla Cybertruck, which starts at $100,000 US, is currently outselling the Ford F-150 Lightning, the Chevy Silverado EV, the Rivian R1T, the Hummer EV, and the GMC Sierra EV combined. Most news outlets will make excuses saying, oh, it's because the Cybertruck had so many pre-orders, so people had to buy them, and now they're stuck with them and they're unhappy. Make whatever excuses you like. In the month of July alone, the Cybertruck sold 5,175 units, making it not only the #1 selling electric pickup, but the #1 selling car above $100,000. Ford actually had a great month for the F-150 Lightning, and they only sold 2,800 units. So you may hate the thing when you see it on the internet or even when you see it on the road. Before you pass judgment, like I said before, go give it a test drive, because it might blow you away.
Her GoPro camera caught every terrifying moment.
Travel influencer Anvi Kamdar has died after falling 300 feet into a gorge. The India-based social media star, whose Instagram account has almost 300,000 followers, was visiting Kumbhe Waterfall, located 80 miles from Mumbai, India, local authorities confirmed to The Independent. Kamdar was part of a group of 7 visiting the waterfall on July 16th, per the outlet, and police believe she fell while recording video to use on her account. Police and local emergency crews responded to the incident. Rescuer Shantanu Kuvaskar tells The Economic Times she fell on the hard, slippery patch of rocks around 300 feet into the valley and couldn't be spotted initially. She was sent up using a stretcher attached to rappelling ropes. 6 rescuers climbed down the hill, while another 50 assisted atop the hillock. CBS News reports that it took the team about 6 hours to rescue Kamdar due to heavy rains and the difficult terrain. Kamdar was then reportedly taken to the local Mangoan Taluka government hospital, but later succumbed to her injuries.
A relaxing day at the pool turns into a freezing moment of pure panic. A little boy walks through the open gate, lured by a colorful beach ball floating in the family pool. His dad is keeping a careful eye and calls out for little Rocco to be careful. Then, in an instant, the 18-month-old falls in. In a split second, his father turns into Superman. Look at him make a jaw-dropping dive over the 4-foot fence, straight into the pool, saving his little boy. Here it is again. Super Dad leaps over the 4-foot fence head first. The dad, Albert Pasavanti, who lives in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, says adrenaline kicked in and he suddenly possessed Superman strength to save his son. I spoke to him from China, where he's on business. Do you think your athleticism played a part?
Anybody would do that. You don't have to have any kind of ability to jump over a fence. You know, it's a kid's in trouble. You know, you got to get to him as quickly as you possibly can.
I'm 5'7", and you can see the height of this fence. It's nearly, mid-chest on me. So for anybody to get over this, he'd either be very strong, very, very good on his feet.
The Super Dad rescue comes with the arrival of summer and all the dangers associated with backyard swimming pools.
California is trying to put a mandatory alarm in your car that will yell at you if you're driving over the speed limit. And I want to hear if you actually like it or absolutely hate it. Senate Bill 961 just passed the California state legislature, and the only thing stopping it from going into effect is a signature from Governor Gavin Newsom. If the bill does pass, it would require all cars built and sold in the state of California to come with mandatory speed alerts if you go over 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. And not only would this change your driving experience in the state of California, but the entire country. The The system will work by using your GPS location and the speed limit in the area. And then based on your car's current speed, it will alarm if you're going 10 miles over. Pretty self-explanatory. This feature is actually really common in other countries, but it still hasn't gotten to the States yet. In California, over 1,000 people are unalived by speeding drivers every single year. This law would hopefully greatly reduce that number. The likely side effect, since California is such a large market, would be all cars manufactured for the entire US would end up coming equipped with this alarm system. Meaning if you're driving over here, you're gonna have to get used to it. What do you think of this feature? Personally, I don't hate it. I think it's much better than the alternative, which would be a soft limiter on your speed no matter where you are. And I think it could save a lot of lives.
We have breaking developments tonight. The father of the 14-year-old accused of a deadly mass shooting at a Georgia high school has been charged in connection to the incident. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says that 54-year-old Colin Gray is now charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. His son, Colt Gray, is accused of killing 2 classmates and 2 teachers at Appalachia High School yesterday. Colt is also charged with 4 counts of felony murder, with additional charges expected.
Colin is Colt Gray's father that was arrested yesterday. He is charged with the following: 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. Mr. Gray, these charges stem from Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son, Colt, to possess a weapon.
We have breaking developments tonight. The father of the 14-year-old accused of a deadly mass shooting at a Georgia high school has been charged in connection to the incident. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says that 54-year-old Colin Gray is now charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. His son, Colt Gray, is accused of killing 2 classmates and 2 teachers at Appalachia High School yesterday. Colt is also charged with 4 counts of felony murder, with additional charges expected.
Colin is Colt Gray's father that was arrested yesterday. He is charged with the following: 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. Mr. Gray, these charges stem from Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son, Colt, to possess a weapon.
Ford just patented a way to put advertisements on your car's screen, and it might be the most dystopian thing you've seen all year. It will be able to funnel advertisements to your car's screens based on conversations you're having in the car and stores that are around you. This is another step closer to the advert everywhere future we all know is coming. But keep in mind, as of right now, it's still a patent, and we don't know if this feature will actually make it to your car. But in this patent filing, they go into detail about exactly how they're going to make this happen. They're going to use your car's GPS to determine where you are and how fast you're driving. Once it has that, it'll use information it has, like your navigation destination and sounds it hears in the car, to play a targeted ad based on your location and interests. It'll even play you more or less ads based on how fast you're driving, or if you're around a school zone or something. So yes, it's similar to a radio ad, but with a lot more privacy invasion. I could see them making this work by saying you could pay $100 less on your car payment every month if you just allow ads in the car. Would this be worth it to you? Would you sacrifice your privacy and sanity for a little bit cheaper car payment? Let me know. Ford just patented a way to put advertisements on your car's screen, and it might be the most dystopian thing you've seen all year. It will be able to funnel advertisements to your car's screens based on conversations you're having in the car and stores that are around you. This is another step closer to the advert everywhere future we all know is coming. But keep in mind, as of right now, it's still a patent, and we don't know if this feature will actually make it to your car. But in this patent filing, they go into detail about exactly how they're going to make this happen. They're going to use your car's GPS to determine where you are and how fast you're driving. Once it has that, it'll use information it has, like your navigation destination and sounds it hears in the car, to play a targeted ad based on your location and interests. It'll even play you more or less ads based on how fast you're driving or if you're around a school zone or something. So yes, it's similar to a radio ad, but with a lot more privacy invasion. I could see them making this work by saying you could pay $100 less on your car payment every month if you just allow ads in the car. Would this be worth it to you? Would you sacrifice your privacy and sanity for a little bit cheaper car payment? Let me know.
We are getting our first look at one of the victims who was unalived in the Georgia school shooting. 14-year-old Mason Schermerhorn has been ID'd as one of the 4 victims killed. Mason's family took to social media earlier to try and locate him, but later announced that unfortunately he did not leave the school alive. Now, if you guys are not already familiar with this story, this happened earlier this morning when they say a 14-year-old by the name of Colt Gray opened fire and took the lives of 4 people at Appalachia High School.
Additionally, what I want you to know as of now, there are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school.
I will bring you guys updates as they come out. In the meantime, please keep the victim's family in your prayers and the entire city. We are getting our first look at one of the victims who was unalived in the Georgia school shooting. 14-year-old Mason Schermerhorn has been ID'd as one of the 4 victims killed. Mason's family took to social media earlier to try and locate him, but later announced that unfortunately he did not leave the school alive. Now, if you guys are not already familiar with this story, this happened earlier this morning when they say a 14-year-old by the name of Colt Gray opened fire and took the lives of 4 people at Appalachia High School.
Additionally, what I want you to know as of now, there are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school.
I will bring you guys updates as they come out. In the meantime, please keep the victim's family in your prayers and the entire city.
No!
Yes, take that ladder off my property!
It's not on your property!
Shortly after moving into his new home, Joseph discovers that one neighbor has a mouth as tough as the streets of New York itself.
Yourself and drop dead! Yourself and drop dead!
It's beautiful!
Yourself and drop dead!
And she will unleash her wrath on anybody.
Get the out!
There are times that I worry about her safety just because of the way she acts with people.
Get the out of my driveway!
In one of these episodes, the police were actually called, not by me. What happened was one of the cars pulled over in her driveway while she was sweeping. And that didn't sit well with her, so she started screaming at him.
Get the out of my driveway!
And then she took a broom and she started smacking the roof of his car and started making dents in it. So bad that he actually called the cops on her.
Yourself and drop dead!
And when the cops came, I had to intervene. I just went over to the cops and I said, listen, She's upset, so if you don't mind, if you would just let her kind of slide on this, it would be great. And they did.
You know where I live? No, you don't. I don't give a where you live.
5 children have been arrested on suspicion of murder after an 80-year-old dog walker died following a serious assault in a park. 2 girls and a boy aged 12 and a boy and a girl aged 14 are in custody after the pensioner died in hospital. The 80-year-old was allegedly attacked by a group at Franklin Park in Braunston Town near Leicester on Sunday evening. It is believed he was seriously assaulted by a group of young people near the park entrance. Before he died, the man's daughter said he had been taking the dog for a walk. They pushed him, they kicked him in the neck, kicked him in the spine. A neighbour said, "I heard a commotion outside and he was lying in the park, screaming in pain. He said he was violently pushed over." Cops want to speak to anyone who is in the park or in the area of Bramble Way between 6 p.m. and 6:45 p.m. on Sunday evening.
It is a challenge. You have to have appropriate adults with you during the interviews. You have to have the child assessed and the appropriate adults spoken to before they can come into the interview with the children. It's taken delicately. It's a challenging investigation because you are dealing with children. So you've got to almost like explain the activities, the actions, the investigation, the offences you're investigating, and the questions that you want answers to. So almost like the involvement of every person that was there. And it's almost like establishing, they clearly know right from wrong at that age, but the level of what was right and wrong and who actually did what and what involvement each of them had, and then collectively as a group. And that's the challenge for the detectives now, is to interview them separately, but then try and get an account from all of them to establish exactly what happened and who actually did what, who took part in the activities.
7 actors who refused to shoot scenes together. 7. Emma Watson and Channing Tatum. Emma Watson walked off the set of This Is the End after being uncomfortable with a scene where a scantily clad Channing Tatum was dancing. Tatum's antics, combined with his drinking, offended Watson, leading to her abrupt departure from the film. 6. Lena Headey and Jerome Flynn, Game of Thrones stars. Lena Headey and Jerome Flynn, who once dated in real life, avoided each other on set after a bitter breakup. Their off-screen tension was so strong that the producers kept them apart, leading to scenes where their characters never appeared together. 5. Wesley Snipes and Patton Oswalt. During the filming of Blade Trinity, Wesley Snipes refused to interact with most of the cast, including Patton Oswalt. Snipes was so difficult that he only filmed his close-ups, with stand-ins used for other scenes, causing immense tension on set.
Denise and Christy, so imagine this. You arrive to your child's daycare to pick them up, but when you get there, the doors are locked, the lights are off, and your 2-year-old daughter is still inside. That's exactly what happened with one mother right here at the KinderCare Child Care Center in Plantation. She says she now wants to know how this all happened, and she wants someone held accountable.
I'm coming, okay?
911, what is the address of the emergency?
You can hear the worry in the voice of Stephanie Martinez while she's on the phone with a 911 operator moments after she comes to find her 2-year-old daughter Anastasia inside the KinderCare Daycare Center in Plantation. The lights off, no staff members inside, the doors locked, and her daughter looking right at her, waiting for her mother to get her out.
She's inside the daycare. She just came up to the door.
She's inside by herself?
Yeah, she's crying. She's inside by herself.
My first thought is something bad happened.
Anastasia's aunt, Samantha Scarmelino, said she received a call from the child's mother just after 6 Tuesday, hopeful she'd been picked up.
And she's like, well, I'm at the school and nobody's here. And I'm like, well, I don't have her. Like, call the police.
Let's look at this person in the white bandana, light blue crop t-shirt, and black capri pants. And then we have this person in the gray sweatshirt. And then this person in the white tank top and gray shorts. Aventura police say these are men dressed as women. And they're at the Aventura Mall. And cops say they are swiping fragrances. And there's more. Watch here. After store security gets wind of what this trio is up to, they try and catch them. Here's the tackle. The suspects, say cops, used pepper spray and get away.
3 suspects pepper sprayed in a hoodie.
Aventura police put out the info on the suspects.
They were last seen driving a 2019 four-door white Lexus with dark tint.
Lauderhill police try to make a traffic stop, but they say the driver, identified as 21-year-old Armani Green, never stopped. There was a pursuit and then a minor crash.
It's a nightmarish moment. This is video of a first grader dangling from the school bus after her backpack was caught in the doors. The Kentucky bus driver has no idea that the 7-year-old is trapped. Thank goodness she survived. Incredibly, Inside Edition has found 31 incidents, including 2 deaths of kids dragged by their school buses. Just how strong are those doors? They trapped and crushed just about everything we tried to put between them. This can of soda literally exploded from the pressure. With their parents' permission and under the supervision of the experts, we loaded up the bus with a bunch of noisy kids. Then we carefully closed the school bus doors on the backpack of 8-year-old Julia. Aboard the bus, you can hardly hear her. Imagine if this was your child.
You can see kids begin to be pulled off the bus through windows, crying, screaming, and looking for their parents.
Hold on, calm down, baby. Where's your mama? This is DeSoto County got this woman. Woman has got my child locked on this bus and will not let them off.
This Facebook Live by Misty Grubbs shows the moment her 5th grader Bella and other Center Hill Elementary School students were on a bus with the driver who did not immediately open the door.
Why will she not let him off the bus? I don't know.
Throughout the 4-minute video, today Grubbs says she dropped Bella off at school. Her family and many others left with unanswered questions.
Why did the bus sit there for 40 minutes with children on it? As hot as it is.
Grubbs says her daughter told her the driver pulled over and refused to drive after a student refused to hand over a phone.
You just want your kids to be safe.
Anna Marie Tyler's kindergarten and 2nd grader were also on the bus and were supposed to be dropped off here in front of the neighborhood.
They were celebrating raising money for the school yesterday and got to wear pajamas, so they were on that hot bus in their fleece pajamas.
Family members fuming after a bus driver leaves dozens of children stranded a long way from school.
I told the kids to get off the bus. Matter of fact, they walked on to the school.
Crystal Callahan is fuming.
It makes me furious.
Her 12-year-old niece on board the school bus when suddenly the driver forced the kids to evacuate.
One of those kids could have got hit by a car. One of those kids could have got abducted.
The 24 6th to 12th graders ended up walking 10 blocks to school, but it's not an easy trek for Callahan's niece, Lily.
She has special needs. She's in a wheelchair.
The school bus driver made this frantic 911 call.
Something is on my bus, some kind of chemical. And I feel that somebody's putting some kind of chemical on my bus.
Telling dispatchers someone dumped chemicals on her bus on purpose.
It's still ridiculous, and I feel that my life is threatened.
District leaders examined the bus but found no problems, and turns out the same driver, Angela Williams, reported chemicals being dumped on her bus before. That time, district leaders say the bus was perfectly fine too.
Angry. So angry.
Parents now demanding answers why their kids were put in harm's way.
At 7-something in the morning to be walking around unsupervised. There is no excuse.
Come August 8th,
yes,
they're going to place a lien on your house,
yes,
and charge you $100.
They're finding me $100 a day.
$100 a day for this.
Yeah, for that.
For these rocks,
yes,
and those plants.
Yes, yes.
Here is the area. Rocks, grass, some flowering plants on Loretta Bayless's property. And she reached out to us because
I'm just tired. I'm at my wit's end with the city of Lauderhill and the neighbor next door. I have a sick child and a sick mother, and I shouldn't really have to go through this. I have enough stress already as it is.
You see, after the grass died in this area and on their property, Loretta and her husband, Leroy, did this. They added pavers and stones, but their next door neighbor wasn't having it.
She comes over and says what?
She doesn't like it, and I'm not supposed to have the pavers there, period.
That next door neighbor went to code enforcement and Loretta was cited. Documents say her permit was denied, the rocks too close to her neighbor's property line, and this apparently created drainage issues. So not wanting a problem, she removed the pavers. It then looked like this.
She doesn't want the rocks because she said they're going to get in her tire.
Finally, Loretta and her husband added grass, some plants, and there were less rocks.
It's still not good enough.
She walked in posing as an inspector for an international buyer who was looking to purchase 11 diamonds worth $7 million. But as soon as she sits down and starts inspecting them, the owner knows something is wrong.
She was very nervous, shaking. She told us she was very sick.
As security cameras continue to roll, the woman can be seen packing the diamonds and sealing them in an envelope. She then tells the owner that the purchaser is going to wire the money, but that never happens. Instead, she takes the package full of diamonds and puts it in her briefcase.
I entertained her. I looked away for a second, turned back around. She pulls out a package that looks identical to the one we just wrapped up, except I bent one of the corners on the one that I packaged with her, and this one had perfectly straight corners.
The owner tries to grab her bag and then exits the vault, locking her inside while he calls police. Panicked and trapped, this thief tries to cut up the fake package, but she's clearly out of time. Police arrive and make the arrest.
The label on the front of the TV that said Samsung peeled off and it said Hisense.
But Ross's biggest surprise came next.
I said, Walmart owes me, my money back or the right TV. So he said company policy wouldn't let him return it.
Ross, that's crazy.
My blood pressure was probably the highest it's ever been, and I'm sitting there thinking, stay calm, don't yell, don't be outrageous. So I came home, I got on my Facebook account, and I just detailed everything that happened.
It just so happened that a social media friend of Ross's is also a friend of mine. When I saw the post, I knew I could help. So our team reached out to Walmart, and a couple of days later, Ross received a refund.
You got it.
Got it. Thank you. I don't think there's any way I'm the only person. I think I'm probably just one of hundreds or thousands of consumers that aren't treated correctly by large companies of this type. Luckily, I was able to get in contact with someone that could help me.
Breaking right now, a possible human smuggling discovery in Houston. More than 90 people discovered inside one home. Some of the people found saying they hadn't eaten in quite a while. This all happened in Southwest Houston on Chessington Drive, just off the Beltway near the Southwest Freeway.
Houston police say a typical two-story home in the Southwest Houston neighborhood hid a secret until this morning.
When we got into the house, we realized that there were over 90 people inside.
More than 90 people, made up of about 5 women, 85 men, but no children, found huddled in 2 separate areas, some in need of food, water, and medical care.
We are concerned that there may be some positive COVID cases inside the house.
Police say the discovery came hours after a kidnapping tip from a possible relative of one of those rescued. SWAT teams then entered the house after a few hours staking it out.
It's horrible. It's horrible. It's heartbreaking. I feel sorry for the people. I would certainly want the ones who are involved in this to have to pay a penalty. It's cruel.
Some neighbors tell me they saw one woman taken into custody and thought only 2 people lived here.
I walk every day with my kids in the evenings. I've never seen anything out of the ordinary in that house, ever. It's always very clean outside, very well taken care of. So it's surprising.
Focus of this lawsuit truly centers around where to build a fence. However, the family tells me the fight behind all of this is to ensure that they can keep this property in the family.
I put these stakes out to make sure we don't forget the fence line. So as you see these purple stakes, this is our fence line.
Danielle Patterson walks us along her parents' home, showing where they once had a fence up.
All the way back to the gate.
In recent weeks, the property developers next door and the family agreed to remove the fence. The Pattersons thought the property owners would build a newer fence, but instead, they were given an eviction notice for their own home.
With this eviction notice, you enter the property without permission and are trespassing at the property. What property are they talking about?
They're talking about our property.
So they're alleging or insinuating that by being on your property, you're actually in their property.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they're saying you're trespassing, but in fact, you're saying this is your property.
Yes.
This is why the Pattersons filed a lawsuit and spent the morning in civil courts.
We feel it was a bully tactic, and we didn't want to play or assume it was a bully tactic. We went straight to the court.
A property lease disagreement is becoming the talk of Vernon. One property owner says the city did not fulfill the terms of their lease agreement with him.
23 years ago, the city of Vernon made an agreement with the Harris family to lease a portion of their Vernon property to the city.
They signed it for 25 years at $1 a year.
This is the property, a small section of parking lot adjacent to the Vernon Sportsplex, but there's a problem.
Vernon has never paid anything on the property. It's just been allowed to use it at no charge.
When Harris brought this To the attention of city officials, they paid the full amount of the rent, but Harris sent the check back, saying he's terminated the current lease.
Too little, too late. When you're 22 and a half years later.
Harris is demanding the city pay a more expensive rent to continue using his property or exchange this land for a nearby parcel and $1,000, something he says he's been trying to negotiate for years for no added cost.
Every time I came up with something, they'd shoot it down.
A dispute in Del City between the mayor and his neighbor.
Both sides are claiming a piece of property that's about 4 feet wide and 100 feet long.
I feel bullied. I mean, I'm going to admit it. It's kept me up at night over a stupid fence.
Dina Hale says a survey and a fence permit she got weeks ago, both originally stamped by the city, prove a particular piece of land behind her home, about 43 inches wide and 100 feet long, are hers.
There was never anything submitted, or to our knowledge to this date, that disproves it.
But when the mayor found out her plans, he beat her to it and started to put his own fence up.
And because I was trying to delay their progress till I could find the proper authority, I turned my water sprinkler on them.
The mayor called the cops, so as Dina watched the fence go up on her property at the time, she also faced possible consequences.
It looks like the perfect family gathering.
Happy birthday to you.
Little Robert is turning a year old, and a yummy cake is right in front of him for his birthday. Dad helps him taste the icing and encourages him to just go for it and dig in with his hands.
Everybody, has their child do a cake smash for the first birthday.
But the unexpected happens. Dad picks up the cake.
You can clearly hear me say no.
Yup, Candy Mulroy of Tampa is hit smack in the face.
I thought he wanted me to take a bite of it or lick it or something. I don't know why he was coming at me with this cake, and then, I'm wearing it.
This was not a joke to you.
I was very hurt. I remember I immediately went to the bathroom, cleaned myself up. I FaceTimed my dad and just bawling.
There is shock and outrage tonight after a lifeguard saved a man who was drowning because instead of being hailed a hero, his bosses instead fired him.
When duty called, Tommy Lopez sprinted.
I had a guest coming to me, someone drowning. I'm looking like, I don't see anyone. She's like, they're way down over there. So I just started running.
Darting past hordes of beachgoers Monday to save a drowning man.
I was worried about the guy himself, not anything else, because he was blue when they got him.
Instead of being rewarded, he was fired. You see, the 21-year-old knowingly violated a rule that prevents guards from this privately run lifeguard company from leaving their station to help a swimmer in distress.
I just went over and did what I had to do.
Because someone's life was at stake.
Tommy's guard station is about 100 yards that way down the beach. Now, beyond this sign, he's not allowed to go, but the person who was drowning was over there.
A spokesperson for lifeguard contractor Jeff Ellis Management said, "We have liability issues and can't go out of the protected area." Suddenly, the rule that got Tommy fired launched a mutiny.
So let me get this straight. All of you basically resigned or were fired because of Tommy, because of this decision?
Yes. Tommy's fellow lifeguards leaving en masse, 7 of them, in disgust.
What we're basically supposed to do is just watch them die, technically.
Just then, we came across Brian Ritchie, who walked off this guard tower to turn in his whistle and the shirt off his back.
Brian, did you just quit?
I did just quit.
How'd it go?
It was rough. I'm glad that I can separate myself from this. I knew if the incident ever came up, I would go.
They'd made a pact, choosing to save lives instead of their jobs.
A Tampa family's pool popped out of the ground after they hired an unlicensed contractor to do renovation work. The man they paid to do the work now under investigation after the homeowner made a call for action to our own Jackie Calloway.
It's a nightmare, really.
The Peasley family's nightmare started out as a daydream for an updated pool and deck.
Basically, we just wanted to have the pool painted.
Neighbors recommended pool repairman James Feliciano.
I did not know that he had to have a contractor license.
According to Florida law, only licensed contractors can make major pool renovations, including draining all of the water.
The deck is cracked completely.
The Peasleys say the day after Feliciano finished emptying their pool, the deep end popped out of the ground.
It's gotten worse over the last week.
Chad says he called James Feliciano December 31st, the day it happened.
He came back and gave us our deposit and picked up his stuff and left and said that he had never seen that happen before.
The catastrophic damage to the decking area.
We asked pool expert Gary Creighton, a member of the Florida Swimming Pool Association, what caused the Peasley's pool to pop.
We have to make sure that we open up the pool to the groundwater and allow that to come in.
It was a desperate search for a 44-year-old dad who was feared drowned. Now comes a bombshell twist in the disappearance of father of three, Ryan Borgwart.
Police now believe he faked his own death, fled overseas.
Borgwart was reported missing and presumed drowned after going kayaking on Green Lake in Wisconsin, a popular destination for fishing. The missing dad's kayak was discovered capsized, floating in the lake along with his life jacket. His tackle box containing his wallet, keys, and license was also found. Authorities and volunteers spent weeks searching the lake for Borgwart's body to bring closure to his grieving family.
I covered this lake more thorough than I've ever covered a body of water. I spent 23 days on the water, 8 to 12-hour days.
Keith Cormican ran the volunteers using equipment like this. But now police say they believe the insurance agent staged his own death and abandoned his family in America to start a new life with a woman he met online from the nation of Uzbekistan.
A woman says the Homeowners Association won't let her plug the car in even after she offered to pay more.
Derry Limoges did something she's always dreamed of. She bought her mother a brand new car, a Nissan Leaf.
And said, "This is your new car," and she burst into tears. She was so excited.
But boxes and junk fill the garage where that new electric car should be.
Car sitting out in front of our house, not being used.
Limoges owns the condo where her mother lives. She had to get the HOA board's permission before she plugged the car into the electrical outlet in the garage.
Let's take the formula that I got from SDG&E, which would come pretty close to approximate what the cost would be.
SDG&E told me it's different for every HOA, but there is a cost formula customers can use. Limoges pays $28 a month to plug in her electric car at home. She'd gladly pay more per month for her mom's car.
It was met with an extreme amount of resistance.
The board said no to the formula idea.
We needed to submit architectural plans, to install a whole separate meter, go through a permitting process.
I called the board president and he told me I work for a living and don't answer HOA questions during my workday. Then he hung up. So Team 10 went to the meeting. Well, I called the board president. I'm not sure which one that is.
That would be him.
Okay, you told me you only talk about HOA issues at the meetings, and then you hung up on me.
We haven't started the board meeting yet.
Oh, great. If you haven't started the meeting, can the board president walk outside and talk to us, answer a couple questions?
I'm busy.
Your meeting hasn't started yet.
You?
Then they kicked us out.
The video shocked the nation. Daycare workers scaring toddlers with a scream mask, the little ones shrieking and crying in utter terror. The mother of this 2-year-old girl gave Inside Edition permission to show her face. It's heartbreaking. Now, 4 of those daycare workers have been criminally charged with felony child abuse. A 5th was charged with assault.
I think they deserve every bit of it.
Jessie Reeves, a working mom of 6 children, says her 3-year-old Jaxie is still traumatized and has been drawing pictures of the monster.
And she says, "This is a mask, Mama. This is a monster."
Caitlin Johnson's 2-year-old son Pierce was chased around the daycare by the monster as another grown-up laughs and encourages her.
Breaking news, a man who had been missing since Friday was found deceased inside of a Planet Fitness tanning bed. They have now confirmed that the 39-year-old did go into the tanning bed on Friday morning and was not found until 3 days later on Monday morning. Family members say that his aunt reported him missing on Friday. She said he was wearing an ankle monitor that helped investigators determine that he never left the gym. A woman who was at Planet Fitness that morning before law enforcement showed up said that she and other members noticed a foul smell in the building, and that foul smell got worse as they got closer to the tanning beds. A witness said, quote, "The tanning bed has a door, I believe, but still, why were they not concerned that the tanning bed had been closed for 3 days?" When Planet Fitness was asked for a comment, they said that they are investigating a death at the location, but they did not elaborate on the circumstances. This is a local franchise, and they said they are looking into what happened with the franchise owner. Since the occurrence, there has been a sign on the door saying, quote, "Tanning is currently unavailable." However, the gym itself has been in full use. The quote loving person, and they hope to see stricter policies on cleaning. And to stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments. Breaking news, a man who had been missing since Friday was found deceased inside of a Planet Fitness tanning bed. They have now confirmed that the 39-year-old did go into the tanning bed on Friday morning and was not found until 3 days later on Monday morning. Family members say that his aunt reported him missing on Friday. She said he was wearing an ankle monitor that helped investigators determine that he never left the gym. A woman who was at Planet Fitness that morning before law enforcement showed up said that she and other members noticed a foul smell in the building, and that foul smell got worse as they got closer to the tanning beds. A witness said, quote, "The tanning bed has a door, I believe, but still, why were they not concerned that the tanning bed had been closed for 3 days?" When Planet Fitness was asked for a comment, they said that they are investigating a death at the location, but they did not elaborate on the circumstances. This is a local franchise, and they said they are looking into what happened with the franchise owner. Since the occurrence, there has been a sign on the door saying, quote, "Tanning is currently unavailable." However, the gym itself has been in full use. The quote loving person, and they hope to see stricter policies on cleaning. And to stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
When Flash Shelton found a squatter in his mother's home in Northern California 5 years ago,
Are you Flash?
Yeah.
I'm Marla. Hey. I'm really sorry.
he figured out a way to work around the system that often appears to protect the squatter, not the property owner. Shelton outsquats the squatter.
These people feel like the law allows them to do it, so why not me?
The squatter hunter, as he's known,
This is the woman leaving at 5:06 a.m.
targets squatters like this woman who moved into an apartment without permission while it was being fixed up. The property owner has provided Shelton with a legal lease to the apartment.
Based on the conversations and based on everything, I'll make a decision whether I'm going to literally move in with them.
Because he's now the real tenant, he can change the lock and turn the tables on the squatter.
They can't kick me out because I have a lease. So it's a game, it's a chess match.
Sometimes the squatter calls the cops. In this case, they quickly determined it's a matter for civil court.